Hello, I'm Savari Kohler. Welcome back to the Butler Beat. Another busy school year is underway at Butler University. Here to talk about all of the upcoming events is the Assistant Director of Programs for Leadership and Service Learning, otherwise known as Pulse. Jen Agnew, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good.
So Jen, from a Wild West party in Atherton to Butler Palooza, there are so many events that are already going on here at Butler. Now to celebrate fall, there's a trip to an apple orchard this Thursday. Tell me a little more about this event.
We are going to Tuttle's Apple Orchard, and we're going to go from 3 to 6. And each student that signs up, I think we're offering 50 spots. Each student that signs up gets to go on a hayrack ride, they get a pumpkin, and then they get to walk around the corn maze, and they get a caramel apple or an apple slushie. So from 3 to 6, they get to go just kind of play like kids at Tuttle's Apple Orchard, so it should be pretty fun.
Okay, and when is the sign up for this event?
Sign-ups will be on Monday at 1 p.m.
Okay.
in the Pulse office.
Okay, and where's the post office located?
Pulse office is located right next to the Riley Room. So in Atherton, it's Atherton Room 101, and just right there.
Okay.
Across from the bathrooms.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So this trip to the orchard was planned by Program Board's Out and About in Indy committee. Can you tell me a little bit more about this committee and what they do for SGA?
Sure. Out and About, their entire intention is to essentially help students get used to the Indianapolis community and kind of explore different things that we can do throughout Indy. So they try to go to different areas of the city and explore different things and just kind of tap into things that students might be interested in. So our first event for the year was swing dancing in Fountain Square. So they not only got to see Fountain Square, but they got to see something that is really fun going on in the community. And so that's kind of their mission and their goal. Each trip is different and unique in the amount of signups that we can have, just depending on the vendor or where we're going or different things like that. So, but their main goal is to just essentially get students out and about in Indy, checking out new restaurants, things to do, stuff like that, so people know their city.
Okay. Yeah. And do you know some of the future events that are in the works of planning?
Sure. Out and About has a couple things that they haven't revealed yet. They are going to see the Fab Five.
Okay.
Gymnastics is coming through town, so they're going to go to Bankers Life Fieldhouse, and we've rented a couple suites so that students can see those gymnasts perform, which will be pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
They're going to a comedy show, and both those events are going to be in November. And then they're going to partner with CPA, which is the Council on Presidential Affairs through SGA, to do a bike ride, farmer's market trip to get some ice cream, things like that. So those are examples of events that they put on just based on ticket sales and stuff like that.
Okay. And roughly how many students can go to these different events?
For the Pumpkin Patch on Thursday, we're doing 50 spots. The gymnastics will be close to 40 spots.
And we know that Program Board is planning all these events to get students out of the Butler bubble, but can you tell me about some of the events that are planned for this semester here on campus?
Sure. We really are trying to utilize our space a little bit more, so Late Night has a couple things in the works to utilize the entire Atherton Union and get back to getting down in A-Town. So the first example would be getting down in A-Town Wild Wild West was bring that back for the first time, but they're going to try to bring back Getting Down in A-Town a little bit later on in the semester. Can't reveal the theme yet, but they're going to utilize the whole building from the Riley Room to the U Club to different areas in the building to get people more familiarized with Atherton as a whole. Not just a place you come to eat, but a place that you come to have fun as well. Some other events that are going to be happening on campus is Podium Expressions is going to have a speaker in November that will happen in the Riley Room, and they're going to announce that here shortly, who that'll be. And we're also having the Price is Right at Clues. We sold tickets through Podium Expressions as well.
Last year I went on the cave diving expedition that was planned by the SGA Program Board, and it was completely free of charge. Are most of these events free for students?
Yeah, depending on the trip and depending on the budget of the committee, essentially that's how they make their decision of how it's going to affect their budget. So an example would be Recreation Committee is needing to make back a little bit of money from their trip for Cedar Point, so they offer discounted tickets at $10 for students, so students get a discounted rate. But for the most part, we try to depending on budgets of each committee, offer those trips for free. Sometimes it's also an accountability type thing. If you sign up and then you pay some money, that means that you'll reserve your spot and show up for that event, which is very important. Sometimes we then give the money back after that. So it's not really a money standpoint thing as much as an accountability thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And each year, SGA gives a lot of money to the program board to plan these events. Why do you think it's important that the program board gets this money?
I think it's essential to help students transition to college to be involved in some different programs. I think programs help students grow as a whole, not only the students that are planning those programs, but the people that are attending those events. They get a chance to do something that they maybe otherwise wouldn't do, unique opportunities, see gymnasts, or maybe raise money for Riley Children's Hospital by being involved in Dance Marathon. They get to build their experience more as a whole by being involved in programs. So it's not just that they're attending class every day, but they're attending class and they're getting to do something really fun. So it just really helps in the full development of a student to be involved and make those social connections, but also the programs can be very meaningful for people as well. So it gives them new opportunities.
Definitely. How would you describe the student involvement in these different events? Do you get a lot of student interest?
Yeah, I think this year's been awesome for programs. I think students are really enjoying the things that we bring to campus. I think it's really exciting that students that we had I think it's the third sold out show in Clues for a concert on campus that's student only.
Oh, wow.
So I think students are really picking up on the programs that we are creating as a program board as a whole and SGA as a whole, and really utilizing their student activities fees. I think we're offering a good variety at this point. So we're seeing different students at different events as well as some of the same students. So we're just working hard to gauge people's interest. Also, I would suggest that on our SGA website, there's a form that you can suggest an event. If people aren't seeing stuff that they'd like to see from the program board, we love suggestions. So you can suggest on the website or you can suggest on Facebook or Twitter. Just shoot us some information so that we can kind of gauge the programs.
Okay. And I know before I had never gone on the SGA program board website, and on the Facebook page, I didn't really know about these cool events that are going on all the time.
Yeah.
So how do you promote these events to students that maybe don't see flyers around campus? How do they find out about these events?
Sure. All of our events, we actually, through SGA, we have a public relations board that I advise, and that board, we really work to essentially make flyers, different things like that, but it's listed in the connection, always on the events page. If there's an off-campus event, it'll also be listed there, and it can be clicked on. And then if students want, they can follow us on Twitter, SGA@BU. Lots of information about Blue Crew giveaway, free stuff, events, all sorts of things like that. When it's working, because there's a lot of technical difficulties with this particular thing, but in Starbucks we have the PowerPoint that sometimes runs, working on making that a little bit more streaming all the time. But the connection, Facebook, Twitter, the weekend calendar that's up that gets distributed to like the residence halls and up and around campus has information about SGA events. So we just try to get it out there as many ways as we possibly can. Depending on the committee, sometimes they do special events or they chalk or whatever the case may be. So.
And would you say that it's a group of the same students that take advantage of these leadership opportunities, or is it really a wide range of students?
I would say we're seeing a lot of students this year that are actually taking advantage of some of our leadership programs a little bit later on in their career here at Butler. We do pull from a lot of the same programs. I have a lot of ambassadors of change that students that go to the Emerging Leaders program just because it's a natural transition. But I see a lot of like juniors getting involved in some leadership programs or sophomores that couldn't do it their freshman year. So I feel like there's a really good mix of people that are getting involved this year from lots of different groups and organizations. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you could sum it up, why do you think students should take advantage of both program board events and the Pulse activities that go on campus?
I think if a student just even attends one event, they're going to get a unique experience that they've never had before. So I think if students really take advantage of the programs that we offer, they can learn something about themselves, the Butler community, other students on campus, and they can really learn something that they might otherwise not learn. And it's really part of their experience here on campus that's just built in. And I think that if they don't take advantage of that, then they're missing out a little bit just because it's there. It's an opportunity for them to get involved. I think involvement just helps you grow as a person. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Jen.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
In our next segment, Ashley Davis will be talking to 2 Butler students about housing. I'm Savari Kohler. Thank you for joining us for the Butler Beat.
Welcome back to the Butler Beat. I'm Ashley Davis. Housing is something students are concerned about, and with the freshman class sizes increasing, it has become an even bigger issue. I spoke with some students to find out what they think should be changed on campus when it comes to student housing.
Housing is something that affects Butler students, and as the buildings get older, problems arise. Some of the problems include no air conditioning because of the age of the buildings.
It's really hard to sleep during the night, and if it's hot or cold, and because it's one of the extremes.
Not only is the condition and upkeep of some dorms a problem, the increase in freshman class sizes causes concern as well.
But even the forced triples don't bother some students.
Everyone I know is great, and no one really complains about having too many people in their room. And I mean, there are some forced doubles and triples, and they don't really complain about it. They like Ross. People like Ross.
But not everyone feels that way.
It seems all right and everything, but I mean, obviously I'm not living in a room that has 4 people in it, so I think people probably with like 4 or 3 people in it might assume that they would probably need another housing.
In order to fix the problem of not having enough space, students say more housing is needed.
Another dorm would be cool, but where would it go?
I definitely think if they could, if it's in their budget, add housing, but I'm not really sure where they would add it because doesn't seem to be a lot more additional campus space.
I'm here today with junior Alex Priddy and junior Allie Hendricks. Thank you both for joining me today. Now, Alex, what do you think about the quality of housing at Butler?
I think the quality is good, and it's improving a lot lately. You have to look at Resco and Ross and Switzer, and they all have great things to offer the students that are living there.
And Allie, what do you think about the quality of housing at Butler?
I think it's good. I think that there's a lot of different options, and they're all pretty good.
And Alex, how do you think the quality of housing at Butler compares to other schools?
Well, I've only been to a couple of other schools to really compare it to, and in terms of a smaller school, I think it's definitely, it has some room to improve, but I think that it's right there with them and will get better.
And Allie, how do you think the quality of housing here compares to some other schools that you may have seen?
Well, I think that comparatively we match up pretty well, but I think that at other schools, you're not required to live on campus so long, so it's a little different, harder to compare.
And Alex, where do you think Butler stands right now on housing overall?
Among the smaller schools, I think they're middle of the road, if not a little better than average.
And Allie, how do you think Butler stands on housing overall, as far as like capacity or quality or anything?
I think that there's room for improvement as Butler continues to try to increase class sizing. I think that there's a lot to be done by way of housing so that we can have good options for all of our students.
And Alex, what do you like about Butler housing?
I like the close community that the housing provides. A lot of these freshmen are looking when they come in for a sense of community like they had it in high school and in their home. And I think in a lot of ways these halls can offer it to them.
And Allie, what do you like about Butler housing?
I think it was nice freshman year. I think that I did have that sense of community like Alex said, but I think by junior year the housing choices aren't that great.
And why don't you think they're that great?
Well, I mean, as a junior, our class size was really large, and there wasn't enough room in the apartment villages for everyone, and so you know, I was forced to live in UT, and that just wasn't a great option.
And Alex, being an RA, how do you think the freshmen feel about Ross?
Well, in my unit, I know that my residents absolutely love it so far. I can tell anytime I pass through their doors are always open for one, so there's a sense of community that way. And two, the way they talk about it, I mean, Ross Hall is the place for freshmen to be, so they all enjoy it a lot.
And are many of the freshmen in your unit enforced triples?
No, I have 3 enforced triples, and they've all seemed to make it work, and they seem to enjoy it as well.
So those rooms are a double-sized room?
Yes, they're significantly larger than your normal double room, so plenty of space.
Now, Alex, how do you think, or do you think most students are happy with housing on campus overall?
I think at the freshman and sophomore level, they're pretty happy with it. I would say as you get to the junior, I think juniors are probably the ones that have the biggest troubles with it and the inability to live off campus.
And Allie, do you think most students are happy with the housing on campus?
I would agree with what Alex said. I think that freshmen and sophomores are probably really happy with their options, but then by the time people hit junior year, I think that they're ready to get off campus and certainly would like to have good options. Maybe in University Terrace maybe doesn't fall under that category.
Right, and I know like at many other schools, juniors are allowed to live off campus. So Allie, do you think Butler should be, or do you think juniors should be able to live off campus?
I do, especially as the class sizes continue to grow and there's just not enough room for all of the students. I don't really think it makes sense to continue to require all students to live on campus and then not have housing for some students, and have them living at the Christian Seminary or at University Terrace, which isn't it's not even on part of the tour when freshmen come to visit Butler. So yeah, I think that at this point when there's not enough room for everyone, I think that juniors should be able to live off campus if they want to.
And Alex, do you think juniors should be able to live off campus, or what do you think about?
I agree with that. As the school looks to increase its enrollment size, as it has the last 3 freshman classes, I think that Butler has to look at letting juniors live off to accommodate the space for these new freshman classes.
And Alex, do you think Butler has done a good job of working with what they have as far as where they're putting the students since the freshman class sizes have been so large?
Absolutely. They're doing all they can. It's apparent that the school just isn't big enough for the amount of students that are coming in, and Butler's going to look for any way they can to fix that. So they've done a good job so far.
So do you think it's an issue that many students were put in Christian Theological Seminary, or that's not an issue since they don't have room anyway?
As a temporary fix, I don't see it as a problem for right now. If it continues over time, as a student, I may be a little concerned with that, but so far it's all right.
And Allie, do you think Butler's done a good job of working with what they have?
Yeah, I think that they've done the best that they can. I think that maybe it, like Alex said, it's time for Butler to just look at what they're requiring students to do as far as living on campus goes, and how big they're allowing class sizes to be.
And Alex, what do you think Butler will do to fix the housing issues?
Well, they'll certainly have to consider letting juniors live off campus for one, and then I would probably say they may look to build some new buildings in the near future.
And where do you think those buildings might go? There's not much room on campus.
There's not a whole lot of room. Maybe one of the lots by Switzer. That's all I can think of.
And Allie, what do you think Butler might do to fix some of the issues?
Personally, I don't ever see Butler letting juniors live off campus. It's been a requirement for a long time, and when Butler has faced this issue before, they've built, and so I think that they'll be building. I don't see them letting people live off campus.
And Alex, if Butler built more housing, what would you like to see and where? I know you mentioned near Switzer, but
I'd like to see a lot of the same properties that Resco has. If you look at Resco, it's a newer building than Ross and Switzer. Not that Ross and Switzer aren't good, it's just they're aging buildings, and I think that Resco has a lot to offer the students. Having lived in both now, Ross and Resco, Resco's the real deal. I mean, it's got everything you could want.
So you don't think they need more places like Apartment Village, more apartments for juniors, since juniors are some of the ones that can't fit in AV?
I would say, once again, just probably more emphasis on trying to get more students to live in a smaller area, so probably more like Resco.
And Allie, what would you like to see built and where if they were to build more?
I agree with Alex. I think Resco is a really great place. I think it would be nice if a place like Resco was built, and then, but even incorporating some of the things that Ross and Switzer have as far as community, like with the open doors and all of that stuff. I think that would be really nice, less institutionalized as Resco is, more like Switzer and Ross.
And would that be for sophomores, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be nice for sophomores, because I think that that sense of community is still an important thing. So.
All right, well, thank you both for joining me today. I'm Ashley Davis. Thank you for joining me on the Butler Beat.